So we are working with level 1. I created the section. No 3D components here. We're going to work in 2D. So I open this section. I have the 2 levels here. And now I'm going to insert import image. And we have to go to the downloads. And it's detail 1. Okay, we open detail 1 and we have this. Whoop. Let's increase the crop region or make it bigger. And it's too big, so I'm going to make it smaller. Again, we're not going to trace this. I need this just as a reference of what we are going to do here. Okay. So this is the detail that we're going to copy as a 2D component. So first we have to analyze this. What do we have here? We have the concrete masonry unit. Do we have dimensions? Not really. No, we don't have dimensions, but I think brick is always a reference. Even if we don't have dimensions, we should have, by the way. Okay, so here on one of these, look at this, okay? So here we have text, refer to structural drawings for CMU. Okay, so probably in those structural drawings, they will say, okay, this is a 10-inch CMU or 8 inches or whatever. But it doesn't do any harm if we could have CMU 10 inches. It will help a lot because, yeah, I mean, this project has like 100 or 100 or 200 sheets. And yeah, go to the structural drawings. But yeah, it doesn't do any harm. Typing the thickness of this concrete masonry unit. Anyway, the brick is always standardized, and in brick we have usually bricks. Well, usually bricks are 4 inches by 8. I think this is a short dimension, so that should be like 4 inches. So if this is 4 inches, we're going to make up the rest of the dimensions. Okay, so this is 4 inches. That gap here can be 2 or 3 inches. I think the thermal insulation is 6, and if this is 6, this can be, I think, 10 or 8 if this is 4 inches. Okay, probably it's an 8-inch concrete masonry unit. And the thermal insulation of the roof, it's thicker because we know that the roof, the heat tends to go up. So we need to apply more thermal insulation on the roof. And then we have all these layers, all these membranes. They are water barriers, air barriers. The key thing is the continuity of all these. And then we overlap okay, so I think it's a good detail. So we're going to copy this detail. The finish, this is the gypsum, the GWB is a gypsum wall board. I think it stands for that. And it's this material, here, the drywall or the gypsum wall. And that's the false ceiling, okay? So let's do it. So first, now that we know the dimensions, we are not going to trace, but we agreed that this is 4 inches. So if the brick is 4 inches, and now we can calculate the rest. But again, there should be like a text with air gap. It's 2 inches or 3 inches or whatever. So this is a professional drawing. It's taken from the original plans of the building. So they built this building based on those details. But yeah, I think a little more information would be great. So let's do it. Here you see that they have when we were working with callouts, I remember that I decided to hide the levels. In this case, they do have the levels. So this level is in inches. It's 489 feet, 2.5 inches. What do you think? It's random. Well, it's not, because that 489 feet is not the height of the building. So this building is not 400 feet tall. It's the height above the sea level. Okay, so the sea there in Boston, it's 0. So we are 489 feet above the sea level. I don't know. This is what they have done. That's fine. I respect that, but I think it's better considering 0 as the ground floor. So, okay, so that's what I would do. So anyway, they have done this, so it doesn't mean, because if we look at this and we don't know the building, we tend to think that the building is 489 foot tall, but it's not. So, well, let's keep the level. We don't mind what's the height of this building. We have 2 floors. Each floor is around 15. Yeah, so the roof level would be around 30 or 35 feet. Well, I don't mind. We can copy this level, because that would be the ground floor, the ground level. That would be the first. So the second, let's make it here, 25, something like that, okay? But we are working at that level. So the level, this level here, the parapet, is the last level there. Okay, so, and as you can see, that's the top beam is at that level. So we will use this as a reference, and then we will go down. Okay, first thing, this is a steel beam. This is a W. W. Here. So that's the kind of element that we're doing. Okay, so this is the I-shaped beams, or the W flange. But those steel beams are standardized. Okay, so we don't design these beams. So they have catalogs, and on this catalog we have the height of the beam, the width, the thickness of all the layers. So we have all the materials there. We have this difference, the standard I-beam, and then we have this narrow flange, or the, okay, when I was a student, they told me, and I don't think they liked me, maybe, that when we have this profile, this is the American standard beam, and this is the European one. Okay, so the difference is that this part of the building, we have like this scale or this slope here. And when we have a flat thing here, that's a European design, and that's the American design. When I came here, I hope to see everywhere this kind of beams, but if you look at the exposed beams that we have there, they are this kind of beams. Anyway, apparently, in this detail that we're using this kind of beam, like this one. Okay. Can we find something like that in a Revit family? Let's find out. So if we go to load families, we have to go to details, detail items, and we should go to metals and steel joists. And let's see what we can find here. Okay, so nope, this is not what we are looking for. So let's go back. We have still structural steel framing. So let's do this. I think we will find, okay, so yeah, this is it. This is an L shape thing. This is the U shape or C shape, I don't know. And we can find different things here. Okay, so here we have the I-beam. Here we have another I-beam. Here we have another C, a T, and then we have the hollow elements. Okay, so this looks like the one that we are using there. Okay, this is Revit, so I'm sure that they haven't used any, so they have used the default elements that we can find in Revit. Okay, so apparently this is the right one. Let me see if there's something even better. Nope. Okay, so this is the right one. This is the AISCS shape section. Okay, why do we have this name? I don't know. But let's go, let's open or upload this one. And here, look at this. We have this element, but then we have different dimensions. And the 24 by 121 is the width and the height. The small dimension is the width, the large dimension is the height. What are the units? I don't know. I don't think it's inches because 24 by 120, or maybe it's inches. I don't know. Yeah, I think it should be inches. 24 by 80. No, that's a lot. Well, I don't know. This dimension, is it centimeters or millimeters in international units? I don't know. Anyway, we can download 2 or 3 of them. So let's select the smallest one, the largest one, and one in the middle, and see what happens. So we do this, okay. And now when we go to annotate and we go to detail components, we should find the beams here. Okay. So let's do this. And that's the beam element. Which one have I selected? This is the 15 by 50. Let's select another one. The 12 by 20. Oh, okay. So I think I uploaded only one of them. Okay, I'm going to do it again. Insert, load family. It was this. Okay, AISC shape. I'm going to open again. Yeah, I selected that one. I'm going to select now the largest one. Okay, and now I go to annotate, component, detail, and I have this one. And there is, okay, so do we have here? Okay, here we have the 24 by 121. It's much bigger than the other one. And finally, I'm going to insert the same one, this one, open, and I'm going to select the smallest one. And now if I go to annotate, component, detail, and that would be the smallest one. Okay, so which one is the one that we are using here? I wish, okay, sorry, here we have 8 by 18.4. Oh, I didn't know that we had that. Okay, so this is the 8 by 18.4. Good. 8 is the width, 18.4 would be the height. We can annotate, or we can use annotate align to find out the height of this. So this is 1 foot and 3 inches. as far as I know, this is 15, okay? And it should be 18.4. So maybe we can go to insert load family. We can select again the S-shape, this one. And can we find an 18.4? Oh, look at this, 8 by 18.4, perfect. So go to annotate, component, detail component, and now I'm going to select the 8 by 18.4. Yeah, so that's the dimension. Is this 8 by 18.4? Doesn't make any sense because 8 should be the width and 18.4 should be the height. Okay, can we scale this? We can't scale it, you see, because we don't have this option. So if we want to change that, so that's the 15 by 50. Okay, so maybe I was wrong, and 15 is the height. So let's do it again. Insert, load family. We have the shape, open, and we need 18.4, the first dimension. Okay, so here we have 18 by 70, 18, let's select this one, 1854.7. Okay, and now I'm going to annotate component, detail component, and I'm going to select this one, 18 and 40. Yeah. Apparently, this is the one. Okay, so let's see. Because what is clear is that if we select this one, if the brick component, if the brick is 4 inches, that brick is 4 inches. So this is slightly more than 4 inches. So now that we have a few of them here, so let's select the right one. How can we do that? Okay, so in component, detail component, we have bricks here. Okay, so here we have brick standards. We have the row lock, the running section, and the whatever. So let's select the first one. And this is it. Let's select another one. Annotate component, detail component. In bricks, let's see what the running section is. Okay, this. And let's select the other one. The soldier and plant. Okay. So here we have the same brick, but I think in different positions. This is the plan view. So we are not working with this because we are with the section. And this is the brick standard row lock. I don't know what the hell is that, but if we use annotation, that should be, it's not 4 inches, but it's 3/5/8. So I think this is the right one that we are using here. Okay, so we are using this. And if we look at this, yeah, I think this is the 8 by 18.4 is the one that I selected here. This is the 8 by 18.4. And I think the brick is there. Yep. So if we look at this, we see that this is a 4-inch brick or 3 5/8, and the beam is slightly wider than the brick, and this is what happens here. Okay, so I think we have found the right elements, so I can delete all those. And this is the kind of elements that I'm going to use. I'm going to use this steel beam, and I'm going to use that brick. There is a way to make it better, because we can copy, we can select this one, and we can copy, and we can keep copying the brick. Okay. But if you remember, there was a way to do this with a component, repeating detail component. Okay, so if we insert the detail component, we insert just one element. If we insert a repeating detail component, and we have brick, we have all this. Yep. So I think that's yeah. So this is something that Revit has by default. It has a repeating detail component made of bricks. So if we, now that we have figured out what kind of brick we needed, I think we can go to the repeating detail component. That's the only, yeah, so we only have this one. So by default, we only have the brick here. And if we start at this point and we go all the way down, okay, so it's, move it here, and this usually doesn't work. Okay, so we don't start the beam just touching the brick, because the beam has a different deflection, and if it deflects, if it deforms, it will hurt the brick if it's resting directly on the brick. Okay, so that's why on that detail, you see that there is a joist between the brick and the beam. Okay, so let's do that. Let's move this. Yes, from the joist down like that. Okay. If we need to make it longer, the good thing of this repeating detail component is that just dragging this, we don't have to copy or insert more bricks. We can change the length depending on what you want. Okay, look at this. If I open the 3D view, there's nothing. We're not working in the 3D world. We're working just as a 2D. So everything that we are doing here, it won't show in any other views. It doesn't show up in the floor levels. No, it just shows up in the section we are working with. Okay, so that's important. If we are working with this section, this could be like the west elevation. So if I open the west elevation, we don't see anything. Okay, so working with 2D elements means that those elements are only visible in the section or in the floor plan or wherever we are working with. Okay, so we have the beam, we have the brick, and then the other repeating detail component is the concrete masonry unit, the CMU. I don't know, well, maybe we can find out if we know that. I can go to architecture, model line, pick a plane. Okay, that's the problem when we are working with sections in the middle of nowhere. We don't have a reference point. So probably what we can do is to create a reference plane where this section is. Okay, and I name this section detail. So now at least we have a reference, and if we want to work with a reference line, we have this reference plane. So I go back to the section. Why do I want to do this? Because I want to measure things here. So I want to work with the model line. Now the reference plane is the section detail that I have created here. And now I can draw this line. Okay, then to make it longer. So if we offset, if we create offset now, what's the offset? It's not 1 foot, it was 3 inches and 5/8. That was the width of the brick. Oh. Okay. So now the distance between these two lines, if we go to annotate, this is 3 inches and 5/8. It's the same as this width here, 3 inches and 5/8. Why am I doing this? Because now I'm going to scale the drawing. Okay, so I'm going to select this. I want to scale, and this is the first point, that edge of the brick, that corner. The second point is the other corner of the brick, and the third point is this one. Okay, so now we have this at scale, and now we can measure the width of the concrete masonry unit. Well, what? So, do you have these two lines?
Yeah.
And the distance is 3 and 5/8?
Yeah.
Okay. Select the drawing. Click here, scale. Okay. And now, first point, this corner. Second point, the other corner. Third point, here. Get it? So now I want to measure this. I know concrete masonry units are 8 inches, 10 inches, 12, 6, I think it's 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I don't know if there's a 14. But again, the brick is 4 inches, but it's not 4, it's 3 inches and 5/8. So probably the concrete masonry unit is not 8 inches, it will be 7 inches and whatever. So I want to create another line. So architecture, model line. And I draw this line here. Yes.
Whenever I'm trying to do the line, it's just trying to make me go out of the section 1 and it's bringing it back to 11.
Okay, so now we have this, and I'm going to copy this line. Select, copy, and I'm going to copy this one there. And now I'm going to measure that distance. And this is, yes, 7 and 3/4. Okay, so this is the 8-inch concrete masonry unit. Okay, so now I want to create this concrete masonry unit. To do that, I want a repeating detail. I don't have this family, so I have to create it on my own. So I'm going to insert the concrete masonry unit, and then I'm going to create the detail, repeating detail component, whatever. So first, insert, load family, and in this case, we are in detail items, and it's in masonry. I think it's in masonry. We have concrete unit, masonry. It's concrete masonry unit, but anyway. And now we have to find different elements. Okay, so we're going to need this one because you see that, we're going to need this one, the bond beam single section. So I'm going to open because we need this element. And now we need the section of the concrete masonry unit. So let's go to insert, load family, detail items, and we need this CMU core section. Yeah, so as you can see, we have the side and we have the top view. So we need the core section. There are others. And what's the difference between this one and the first one? I don't know. There are other families. You see that in this case, we have a concrete masonry unit, but if it's going to be exposed, it has a fringe. So you see that in this, on this right side, we have a fringe for the concrete masonry unit. Okay, so let's select the first one, the CMU 2 core section, and let's open. And what do we have here now? Okay, so we go to insert. No, we go to annotate, detail component, and here we have 4 8x8. Okay, so when we insert this, we don't have to select the size. We have a lot of things. So the family that we need is the 8-inch one. So here we have 8x4x16, and here we have 8x8x16 by 8. And here we have 8x8x16. We're working in the section. So I think the relevant is the first dimension. Let's select this 8x4, see what happens. Oh, it's the height. Yeah. So we have to select the 8x8. Yeah, there you go. So this is the one that we are using. Okay. But the width is not going to be 8. It's going to be 7 inches and something. So if we make this, it's 7 5/8. Okay. I'm scaling this. It's 7 3/4. It's not 7 5/8 because I'm not doing it accurately. But at least with this dimension, I know if it's the 8-inch CMU or the 10-inch CMU or whatever. So we have to select this one. Okay. Now we want to create the repeating detail component. We can always copy this. We can select, copy, and keep going. Can do this, but it's better. Yep.
Sorry, where is that component located?
Insert, load family, detail items, masonry, concrete masonry unit. And this is the CMU2 core section. Okay, so at the end of bond beams, but you have to select the this bond beam single section. You have to select this too.
Detailed items, masonry.
Yep.
And then
Concrete masonry unit, a concrete unit. repeating detail component, I need to measure the distance between this element and the following element. So I'm going to measure from this point to that point. This is 8 inches, okay? But 8 inches, including the joist, okay? So we have a joist because we need some mortar to connect to rows of elements. And yeah, so the distance between the top of the first element to the top of the second element is 8 inches, including the joist here. Okay, so in component, if I want to create a repeating detail component, select that. And the only one that we have here is the brick one. Okay, so we are going to edit type and we're going to create a repeating detail component using the concrete masonry unit. So edit type and duplicate. And the name is going to be CMU 8 inches. Yeah, this is 8 inches. The detail is not a brick standard running section. We have to click here, and this is the core 8 by 8 by 16. Okay, the layout, fixed distance, yes, and the spacing is 8 inches. And I think that's it. If we apply, we click OK. So now we have the repeating detail, CMU 8, and if we click here, it works. Okay, so now we have created a repeating detail component, and we can make it longer or shorter, and it's in the right place. Okay, working with these repeating details, it's very useful because we're going to use it. If we are working with details, bricks, concrete masonry units, steel beams, we're going to use it in every single detail that we can create. We're going to use the same families. So that's why I recommend you once you can have a file with a lot of families. So next time you don't have to go to insert to select the family. So if you have all the families that you need in one single Revit file, you can open that file and then you can just copy and paste on other Revit file that you are working with. Okay, so my advice: do this once and don't do it again, because we are spending a lot of time on doing this because we don't have any families uploaded. If you have all these families on the original file, it will be much easier and faster. Okay, so we are getting there. We have the brick, we have the steel beam, we have the concrete masonry unit, we have this guy thing here. Okay, so I'm going to insert that part because the top of the concrete masonry unit wall is component. It's a detail component. This is not a repeating detail. And now I need to insert the bond beam. Okay, so the bond beam, it's not 4 inches, it's not 6 inches, it's 8. It's 8. Okay, and this is the beam here. Oh, look at this. In this repeating detail component, we have the joist facing up, and the joist here is facing down. Well, it doesn't make sense. We just need a joist, not 2 of them. So I'm going to move it. I'm going to select this point, and I'm going to paste it here. be careful because we don't have double, well, we can have a double joist, but we have this, well, maybe we can fix it and, but here we have two joists, the joist of the block itself and the joist of the beam. So why are we using this beam at the end of a concrete masonry unit wall? Well, because this beam, we can have a reinforcement here. Okay, so if we have a beam with reinforcement, we have a U shape. So here we are. What the hell is all this? Well, now we have to start understanding what we have here, because the main components, we have the structural element, the concrete masonry unit, we have the wall finish, the brick wall. Here we have the air cavity, and here we have the thermal insulation. As you can see, we have two layers of thermal insulation. We have this line here. Why is that? Because usually the thermal insulation, again, we can have 5 3/4 inches of thermal insulation. We work with standardized panels. So probably we have a 4-inch and a 2-inch panel. So the width would be 6 inches. Can we find out if this width is around 6 inches? I can copy this line again, like here. And the distance of the thermal is, oh, it's 4.5. I thought this building had more thermal insulation. Anyway, it's only 4.5. So, well, probably we have 3 inches here and 1.5. Yeah, that makes sense. And the distance or the thickness of the air cavity is 2 and 5. Well, it can be like 2 inches. Okay, so let's do this. We are going to have a 2-inch cavity and 4.5 thermal insulation. Let's do that. Okay, so after the brick, we have the 2-inch cavity. So we have to go to architecture, model line, and I'm going to draw a line here, 2 inches. And now I need it was 4.5. Yeah, 4.5. So I move it or I copy 4.5. Okay. So now I select everything, move here, and I move the yeah up to the top of the beam. Yeah. Here. Okay. So now we have the beam, we have the brick wall. There will be a 2-inch gap, the air cavity, and here we have 4.5 inches of thermal insulation, and then we have the concrete masonry unit. And what else do we have inside? There is another gap here, and this is the gypsum wall. But this gap, you see that we have two lines. What does it mean? Well, okay, so if we when we are working with this kind of drywall, we need yeah, That's the idea. Okay, so we need this stats, and then we nail the wall to those stats. Okay, so in this wall, it's hollow, it sounds. We have an air cavity. Okay, so we have those stats here. Those are made of aluminum, are very light. And then we have one board in this side and another board on the other side. And then we nail these to the stats. So this is how it works. And if we look at this, okay, so yeah, that's the floor plan or the section. If we look at these drywall details, you see that we have this element, and then we have the wall here. If we want acoustic insulation, we can fill this gap between the two drywalls with glass fibers or something that absorbs sound. And probably in between the two classrooms, we will have that. This is the facade. So in the facade, apparently they haven't done it. Okay, so they haven't filled this with, but these two lines that we have here is the projection of this element, this aluminum profile that we have holding the drywall. Then if we want more protection, we can have a double drywall like this one or a single one, depends. But this is what the drywall detail is. Okay, so we have vertical and horizontal elements, and then we nail the gypsum board itself to those elements there. Okay, so okay. What's the thickness of this? Do we have, this is gypsum wall board? I think it's single. We don't know. How much is it? Is it like ½ inch? Well, probably. So this is ½ inch, and the distance between that, well, we can measure. I'm going to copy this one. Here. And that cavity is 1/5/8. Okay. So it's 1/5/8, and let's say that this is ½ inch. Let's do it. We don't even need a component to do that. Okay, so we just need a double line. And then this is just a rectangle. Okay, so we're not going to insert detail components. We're going just to draw lines. So we can go to detail lines. And in detail lines, remember that here we have different line styles. We have thin lines, center lines, hidden lines. Okay, so if we do the thin line, we have this. We can try different line types to see what we get. Medium line. What's that? Well, probably it's about the thickness. If we activate this, we see the difference between the thin and the medium line. Okay. The problem is that if we do this, we look at this terrible. How can we fix that? And we have to fix it because at the end we will need different thicknesses of different lines. So this is terrible. So the thinnest line is this. It's because the scale is 1/8. So this is not the scale for details. So let's increase the scale to 1 foot. And now it looks slightly better. Okay, and the bigger the scale, you see that the importance of the line thickness, there is no difference between the thin and the medium line, because that scale is 12 equals 1. So for details, I think 3 equals 1, it's good enough, or even a half equals 1. Yeah, I think this is enough, because here we can tell the difference between the thin line and the medium line. And that looks good enough. If we are not happy with the line thickness, we can always do this. And we can edit type. And here we should be able to no, we can control the thickness here. Okay, we will worry about this when we are going to print it out. Then we will decide the thickness of this. But so far, let's keep doing the same thing. Where were we? I was using this. Okay, so I'm going to use thin lines for that. So there's a thin line here. The distance between the concrete masonry unit and the drywall was 1 5/8. Yep. Okay, so I can use a detail line, and this is 1 5/8. And now I can move it here. I delete this one and I delete that one. And we see that we have a double line here. I'm not going to take this measurement, but there's a double line here, and there's another thin line there. Okay, so I'm going to copy this like 1/4, and copy this 1/4 inch. Okay, so we have these two lines. And how can I do the drywall? Again, it doesn't make sense to insert a new detail. I can create a rectangle. So remember that I can create a region, a field region. Then I can select the rectangle. The thickness is 1/2 inch. Okay, so that's a rectangle. I can make it bigger or smaller. And if I want to change the hatch, look at this detail. Okay, so we have this hatch here. I can select the rectangle, make it bigger. Select, right click, override graphics in view. And here I can select the material. What material? This is concrete, it's gypsum plaster. Okay, so we select gypsum, we click apply, okay, and now we have this hatch there.
Is the filled area a half inch?
Yeah, I think so. Yep,
Thank you.
I think it was, what is a half inch?
the gypsum half inch, yeah. Okay, so if we look at this, we have all the elements. Oh, we don't have the thermal insulation. Okay, so let's do the thermal insulation here. So we have the thermal insulation and we can do, yeah, so we can, the thickness was 4.5. Do we have information about what kind of thermal insulation they are using? We don't. No, I don't see. Maybe it's another detail. So yeah, we have to be very. Okay, sometimes we think that we are okay. I'm doing this time and time again. I have written what kind of thermal insulation was this one in a different detail. Okay, so you have to write it down in all the details because if I'm analyzing this one, I don't have a clue about what kind of thermal insulation we are using. Probably it's in a different detail. Oh, here, look at this. Here we have exterior grade plywood over 1 inch of rigid insulation. Yeah, but the rigid insulation is this one. Okay, so for the rigid insulation, here we have rigid insulation, but the hatch is different. So I don't know. We don't have any information about that one. Do we have other detail with information about the thermal insulation that we are using here? This is a heat waterproofing. Oop. I don't see it. Anyway. Shame on them. We should make that decision. So I can do this in different ways. Yeah, okay, so that makes sense because you see that we have this 3-inch thermal insulation up to this element. And why do we need this? Okay, so we will try to figure out what this is and why we need this rod connecting this to the structural element. But we have like 3 inches and then we have 1.5. Let's do that. So I'm going to create a 3-inch rectangle. So go to annotate, region, field region, and rectangle. So now I want a 3-inch like this. And now I want another rectangle, region, field region, rectangle, just 1/2 inch. 1.5. Okay, so I have this element. This is a 3-inch thermal insulation, and this is a 1.5 inch thermal insulation. Total 4.5 inches. Now I can delete the reference line. Okay. I don't like. I don't think they didn't even change. Well, they changed the hatch, but I don't like it. I'm going to use the default hatch for thermal insulation, which is this one. So I'm going to select this, override graphics in view, and just don't show the foreground surface. And then we have a blank thing. So if we do this, override graphics in view, and don't show this one. And now we can use the insulation, the width is 3 inches. I change it here. Go. And now the second panel is 1.5. So I select insulation and the insulation width is 1.5 inch. There you go. Okay, so now I think we have all the elements that make the wall in that detail. We have the steel beam, we have the brick, the air gap, 2 panels of thermal insulation. We have the concrete masonry unit. Then we have the stud to fix the drywall, and we have the drywall itself. What else? Well, you can see that here we have this dashed line. And this dashed line is the waterproofing. Okay, that runs. Okay, so we have to wrap it, but so far, just to make sure that we have all the elements, we will have this dashed line here in this element. I want to get rid of, or I want to make this thinner, because in this detail, those lines are not as thick as the other ones. So how can I do it? If I go to visibility graphics and I edit the visibility graphics, it's the cut line what I want to make thinner. Okay, so I'm going to select all the cut lines, all the categories. So I select this one, and now I go all the way down, shift and select the last one. So I have selected all the materials, and now here in override, but override the cut line. So I want the weight to be 1. The line weight is just 1. If we click OK and apply, it doesn't happen. Okay, good. Okay, I have to figure out how to do it because it's not in edit type. In edit type, we don't have a way to change the line. Okay, I'll figure it out. Anyway, what I wanted to create now is this waterproofing dash line here. So I can try to see what Revit offers me. So here we have detail lines and we have hidden. So let's click here. So yeah, that's correct. It's a hidden line. So we have dashed. But what about the line weight? We can control the line weight here. We can't because this is a default Revit. Do you happen to remember how we did this before the spring break? Sterling, what did we do? What?
I think I remember.
Yeah, but how? Can you? Yes, we all can remember, but okay. It wasn't very, I think it's in manage. Yes, and in additional settings. It's very tricky because it's not straightforward. We have to go to manage, we have to go to additional settings, and here we have line styles. So if we create a new line style, so here we have different line styles. This is the default line styles that we have here. So we are going to create a new one. And we're going to name it like waterproofing. Okay. And here we can select the weight, we can select the color, if we can select the line pattern. If the line pattern is dash 1/8, see what happens. And I'm going to do something, I'm going to use 10 line weight to see what I'm doing. And then I will fix the line weight. Okay, so I'm going to apply. Okay. And now if I go to annotate detail lines here in this menu, the waterproofing should be here. So that's the line that I have created, the waterproofing. I do this and work. I have this terrible line weight. Okay, so this is not the line weight I want, but it's a dashed line with thickness. So 10 is too much. So maybe 4 is the right one. So we have to go to manage. We have to go to additional settings, line styles. And here I can select the waterproofing. 10 is too much. Let's make it 6. See what happens. Okay. Yeah, good enough. It would be better if that line were thinner. Okay, so if the line of the concrete masonry unit were thinner, that would be better. But I have to figure out how to make it thinner, because I think it doesn't make any sense make this thicker. We have to make this one thinner. But it's okay. I'm going to do this. Okay, so here we have all the components. The only thing that it's left is to make this thinner because it's too thick now, and I don't know how to do it. But anyway, now we have all the elements that we needed in this detail. Okay, so on this detail, the wall is done. So what do we have to do now? We have to work with the roof, and then we have to connect everything. But I think we are good today, and now we can decide the size of the or the length of the detail, but all the elements that we have created, we can edit the length. Okay, so we'll fix it because as you can see, it has, well, this thermal insulation goes up to this point, the other one goes there, and we wrap it, and then here we have a different element, and then we have the coping here that will be made of aluminum. So that's the coping system. Metal doesn't specify the metal, probably aluminum or whatever. Okay, but we're almost there. So I think we can finish this on Friday, and then we will have to improve the detail. I don't know, giving information about the thickness of things. And this is an 8-inch concrete masonry unit. This is a 4-inch brick. This is a 3-inch thermal insulation panel. We need to specify the thermal insulation. Then we have 1.5-inch. Okay, so we can give more details with the text. But I think we're good for today.